Welcome to the Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors podcast, your home for the latest products and news in the shooting sports, hunting, and the great outdoors. And now, here are your hosts, Jake Cawthon and Jason Westmoreland.
Rock and roll.
Hey everybody, it is Jake and Jason here from Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors with
Coming at you live from the podcast.
our main man, Dustin Yaklin, the AK guru himself.
The one, the only,
Oh, y'all
often
giving me way too
imitated
much credit.
and always replaced, Dustin Yaklin.
So thanks for coming on the show, bud. And thanks for everybody, real quick, for listening, watching, however you are,
I'm super excited.
are getting this.
It's getting there. Oh, go. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so excited over this. I'm making some headway, but you go first.
Oh, I know what you're excited about. I got the text too. But anyways, we want to thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Heck, if you want to sponsor, there's a little button there where you can give us $1 or $5 or $2 or whatever. And we're about to have real sponsors. I'm not going to say who for sure, but I'll put that right there, that lovely water bottle. So we'll start giving them a shout out here before too long.
Start hollering at you.
Yep.
So what I'm excited about, we talked about this in the last couple podcasts. We are almost 100% worldwide. Yeah, you got to put down soft. It picks it up.
No, sorry.
We talked about this. We're on 6 of 7 continents.
I know.
We're missing number 7. And I said, hey, if anybody knows that, somebody on the secret sub base or that like the special layer for all the celebrities
So
go
big
to.
surprise, Dustin. You're going to Antarctica.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I do like cold weather.
He looked up for a second like, really?
But
We would totally do that.
Can I really? I want to see the penguins.
yeah, me too. But one of our good friends has a friend that's doing something, right? I don't know exactly what.
Aliens.
Probably aliens, right?
Dr. Evil's secret sub base.
But he has a friend that is down there regular enough that he said he was going to specifically download the podcast so we check off all 7 continents. Whether it happens or not,
Dude, that's high five worthy for sure.
I don't know, but
Be cool.
if he can get us a photo of him listening to it at Area 53,
In a thong outside.
yeah.
That would be solid.
Have you ever read like the old like diaries and like the expeditions that went to Antarctica? You brave. It just insane. And then you see the pictures and stuff from it. I don't remember the people's names. They'd sell out and go walk around and set up little huts, try to survive what is always winter there. But even today, 130 plus years later, like it's so cold, all the food's still edible. It looks just like they left it.
And I believe if there's any firearm on the continent of Antarctica, there would be an AK. I would venture to say that was still functional.
Hold on.
I was going to say, it's probably the only one that's going to function in that extreme cold.
Yeah. So
Because what did Nicolas Cage say? There's one for
every 60 human beings on the face of the earth.
1 for every 12.
Oh wow, is it 1 for every 12?
1 for every 12 people on the planet. And the only question is, how do we arm the other 11?
Yeah, I got you. And then it's something to do with the flag.
It's the only gun to be on a nation's flag.
I was like,
it's
good God,
Mozambique.
why do you have an AK expert on here if you can answer all the questions?
Because I don't know, maybe he didn't know that
He
one.
did. He started going, All right.
I think it's Mozambique.
In Mozambique. Awesome.
But yeah,
it's a pretty,
the most prolific firearm in existence.
yeah. Yeah. And is there any numbers, like, guesstimate if there's 1 for every 12?
Well, there's 7 billion
and there's
people
7
approximately on the planet, so I don't have my calculator handy, but that's a lot.
So if it's 1 in 10, that'd be what, 700 million?
Something like that.
Is that right? Holy crap. That's a lot. And then why is the ammo so damn high now?
Well,
Because there's that many.
because there's this whole thing going on between Russia and Ukraine,
They're real mad at each other.
and they're using all the ammo.
And then we got mad. You can't ship stuff in.
And they do use that ammo. That's kind of their jam, right? Their military's over there, as ours are more.
So the Russian military at the current moment is using 545 by 39. That's standard issue across the board for them. However, on the Ukrainian side, I think they're just using whatever they can get their hands on. So, 5.56, 5.45, 7.62 by 39, 308, 7.62 by 54. Just
Some of those Ukrainians got good funding. They dress scary.
Oh,
like
so-
they're having fun with it. They look like straight out of a horror movie.
One of the coolest things I've seen out of the pictures that I've seen come out of the conflict, they actually took two, and I mean old school World War I Maxim machine guns. Water cooled, got the big jacket around the barrel and everything. Put them on the back of a Toyota Hilux because that's what you do when you're looking to get a revolution on a budget.
Yeah.
But they actually mounted.
It's the official vehicle of overthrowing a government.
Maybe that's why we can't get them. Oh, there it is. We
That's
just
it.
figured
We
it
solved
out.
it. We solved the Hilux.
That's a different story. We'll talk about that later. But they took these two Maxims, of course, in 7.62 by 54, because that was the easiest one to get. And they mounted a big red dot on the top, and they're mounted in tandem. So it's, two Maxim machine guns with a red dot sitting in the middle.
Old school meets new school.
Absolutely. I thought it was super cool.
That is cool. The ingenuity. Yeah. In times of wars, when
Gotta get creative.
Yep, you got to.
So speaking of war, right? This is where this all came about. Why don't you tell us, in your own words, the history of the AK?
So,
For the folks at home that may not be as well versed in comm block weapons.
And I'm just going to kick back, take a nap.
Yeah, because it's going to be there. Here's the question. See if y'all can figure out where he pauses to breathe over the next 15 minutes.
The man's an encyclopedia. All right.
All right, the floor is yours, sir.
So, back in World War II, there was a tank commander, Mikhail Kalashnikov, who the firearm is named for, and he was injured in combat, and while he was in the hospital, he started thinking up designs for a new submachine gun for a competition that the Russian government was putting on, trying to get their troops better armed. And a lot of the guys were, building stuff in the 7.62 Tokarev and 9mm Makarov. But he decided to go a different route, and a lot of people believe that the 7.62 by 39 and the AK were developed in conjunction. The 7.62 by 39 was actually developed earlier for the SKS. So he took that round.
That was what, 51?
So the SKS was developed just before the war started, but they ran out of funds to give it to everybody, so they were just like, okay, everybody get some Mosin, because we know how to make those a lot and cheap. So he's continuing to work on this quote-unquote submachine gun, and it goes through trials just after the end of the war, 46, and it does get adopted in 47, hence the name AK-47. Now, there are varying different types of AKs as far as like 7.62. It's really convoluted and there's a lot of different ones, but for the main gist of it,
The
you
Reader
have-
Digest version.
Yeah. So
Back in my day, Cliff Notes. I guess Reader's Digest too. That's pretty.
Speaking of that, I didn't realize it was named after a real person. It's not Cliff Notes. It's Cliff's, like his own notes. He died recently, and this only reason I knew this. He was on CBS Sunday Morning. Sorry, never mind. Back to the AK.
And Dustin. We're such squirrels, man.
See, there's those little facts, those little information bombs we just about there. That's what makes this such quality radio programming. It's fun and informational. It's like cartoons on a Saturday morning. What do you learned?
cartoons on a Saturday morning with, some knowledge value.
Exactly. All right. So
So when it was adopted in 1947, the original plans were to have a stamped receiver. However, they couldn't quite get the technology right to get the durability where they wanted it. So they ended up developing a milled receiver because they had the tooling to do that. So the Type 1 is a stamped receiver. Those are extremely rare. I think there's maybe 4 or 5 in the U.S.
of the original, like the first run.
First run, stamped receiver, Type 1 AKs. Brandon Herrera has a fantastic reference library. He's got one in his collection, does a cool video on it. And other really cool fact about it, it's a transferable.
Oh, nice.
But that's cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. super cheap, like $80K.
Yeah.
So they went from the Type 1 to the Type 2 for durability reasons. And then after a little bit, they decided that there was a little more meat they could take out of the receiver, kind of lighten it up a little bit. So they went from the Type 1 to the Type 2 to the Type 3. So it's just a little bit lighter milled receiver. And the main difference between the stamped and the milleds is your stamped receivers are going to have a barrel pressed into a trunnion, so a little metal piece that rivets in. And then on your milled receiver AKs, they're actually threaded in, kind of like a Remington 700.
Okay. Is the trunnion better than?
Yeah, I know there's one that you prefer over the other.
So me specifically, I prefer what's known as an AKM. So the AKM was developed while they were doing all the milled receiver stuff because they were still trying to perfect that stamped receiver technology. And that came about in about 1960. So they finally got the stamping process right, the heat treat on the trunnions the way they wanted it. And that is going to be the most prolific firearm in the history of the world is the AKM.
I got you.
That's the one we all picture as.
That's the one everybody pictures in their mind whenever someone says AK-47. Matter of fact,
You got one behind you.
for visual reference,
For y'all on your
for y'all
radio.
on the YouTubes, this is a Romanian Wasser 10 from Century Arms. You've got your stamp receiver here. This one doesn't have the little dimples. They actually riveted a piece of metal in here just to kind of give that magazine a little extra stability. When you see the dimples, it's accomplishing the same thing in just a different way. But all your AKMs are going to have this 45-degree gas block here. And that's going to be kind of one of the main distinguishing factors between different types of AKs as you look at different ones. This one is a really good example. You've got the wood furniture, the 14x1 left-hand threads, and then this one here, one of the nice things that Century did, because there are so many cool aftermarket parts being produced for AKs here in the U.S. now, is they actually included this side rail, so you can actually get like a little side saddle optic mount. Cool. This one here by Midwest Industries just kind of sits over this.
If it was of y'all listening, it would just basically clamps onto the side and gives you a Picatinny rail on top.
Yeah. It's kind of, well, this one has a direct footprint for
there you
a red dot, but they do make Picatinny rail ones as well.
The idea behind it is that the top of the AK was all designed to be an iron sight weapon. And there, at the time it was developed, there was never red dots or really telescopic optics, and combat was not really a thing. And so the top plate of it is really just a dust cover. It helps keep gunk out of it and allows you access to clean it and maintain it, stuff like that. And so because of that, you can't mount an optic to the top of it, so you have to run this cantilever style mount over the top. And in my opinion, that Midwest is about the nicest out there.
If you ever take that cover off, make sure the bolt's closed. Because you can hurt yourself.
Yep.
Speaking from experience. So everything about this to me is, like I said, this is what I picture as AK. The wood furniture especially, everything, and this is a cultural thing, right? Growing up and everything, this was the bad guy's gun.
Oh,
This is the other side.
Yeah, because, for you, Cold War.
Mine was
And
Red
so-
Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the communists coming in.
Yep. No, the Wolverines, right? That was
Wolverines, yeah.
Yeah, they got.
That's kind of where I got
Is
an
that where you
interest.
started getting the love?
That's where I got an interest in AKs because I saw Red Dawn, 1984. The 2012 one is absolute garbage.
No, I'm not going to argue with it. Yeah.
Facts.
But bunch of high school kids running around in the mountains with AKs, fighting off a Russian invasion. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's true.
But fun fact, all of the AKs that were used in Red Dawn are not Russian at all. They're actually Egyptian Mahdi's.
Really?
Some of the first AKs to ever be imported. And because of that, an Egyptian Mahdi is getting kind of expensive on the collector market these days.
So, a couple, and I am far from the expert that you are in this, but there's several things I've done a little research into them and very intrigued over the AK just because I learned early on in my gun selling career that the devil's in the details with these things, and there are so
Oh my gosh.
many. little minute details that may make a quite a monetary swing over the collectability, the value of it, the desirability of it. And so that kind of led me down the rabbit trail. And there's one that I've always wanted to see. I'm going to get it wrong. Is it the 102 or 107? So what it is, and I'm sorry to interrupt you there, is that the AK really hasn't changed since the initial conception of it. All they've come in and done is try to modify a little here and there to try to make it either run better or change caliber. Or in this incident, it was physics, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's one of Newton's laws. I don't know which one, but it's one of them. So when the gun goes off, the piston drives the bolt back so you get recoil. But what they did is they created a counteraction in the gas block. I believe it's a weight that moves forward that's supposed to offset the recoil backwards. So it's supposed to be completely soft and completely level even under full auto fire.
Yep.
It was more common in Venezuela, if I remember. It's a South American thing.
So originally developed in Russia, but it's the 107.
There you go.
And so there's really not a whole lot of information out there about it.
There's not a lot of them.
But Larry Vickers actually has a video on YouTube from way back. He went and was actually able to shoot one of the AK-107s in Russia.
That's cool.
At the factory. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It is like sucker didn't move.
Like tip of the nose, full auto, just let it ride. And it's the forward motion of the counterbalance offsets everything backwards.
So why isn't that a more prolific design? Why
It breaks like crazy.
Oh, okay.
That and, it's in Russia and we're not allowed to have things from
That's
Russia.
true. For now. We'll see. To pendulum, everything comes back. But
we kind of touched a little on this just then. So when you think AK, right, you think the motherland, Russia, right? That's where it originated. That's what it is. But, we've talked about this. There's roughly 700 million of them floating around, plus or minus.
yeah, they're all over the world.
So if Russia's not the only manufacturer of
Oh,
it.
absolutely not.
We got China.
So in your opinion, like kind of what's, for the person that says, I'm going to go buy myself an AK, or I'm already kind of into them and I want to start collecting them. Okay. What is the desirability list, top to bottom, in your opinion?
So obviously the most desirable ones are, like original Russian, like 60s AKM kits from Izhmash or Tula armories. And then, any of the Russians that were imported by Arsenal are still pretty valuable, not quite as valuable as like the mid-60s AKM kits. Of course, a Type 1 with a stamped receiver is going to be tip-top.
What about country-wise?
Russia's going to be number one.
Of course.
And then I think the others are going to kind of depend on market at the time.
Because there's some Germans, there's Polish, there's Romanian, there's Egyptian.
I think number two right now is going to be the Chinese-made AKMs. Norinco's, Polytechs, Clayco's are high dollar.
Are there any North Koreans actually on the market? I know there's patterns and you can get North Korean clones like Childers. You can get a North Korean.
Yeah. So like an actual North Korean built AK, incredibly rare.
Yeah, I figured they would have got all theirs from China.
I'm sure.
They got the majority of them from China.
Yeah.
But they did manufacture a few in country.
Did not know that.
A while back, and this is probably 2014, 2015. I was in a gun shop in another area, and just got to talking about AKs with the guy behind the counter, and he said, yeah, we just picked up a really cool estate. It had a transferable North Korean.
Ooh.
And I was like, holy crap, how much is that going to go for? And he said, probably somewhere around 60.
Wow.
Yeah, and in 14, 15, that's about double what a transferable AK was going for.
Yeah.
About then, it's probably, 30, 32 at the time?
Probably.
So which ones would you stay away? So if those were the dreams, or the desirable, which ones would, even if...
Yeah, are there any to avoid?
There's a bottom, right? Are there ones to avoid? And not necessarily in the I have my personal preference, but are there some that are like, hey, don't spend your money here?
So when I first got into AKs, I didn't do enough research. I actually got one of the ones that I'm going to recommend avoiding. And they're no longer made anymore, so it's not like you're going to go out and find one on the shelf. But it was around that same time period, 14, 15 or so in there. Century Arms tried their hand at making an American-made AK that was affordable, and they released the RAS-47. And like in terms of functionality at first, it was absolutely fine. I never had an issue with it. The downside of that particular rifle and some of the ones that they came out with afterwards is that they had a cast trunnion.
Oh, so it got brittle. Couldn't take the abuse.
It didn't hold up to the abuse like a forged trunnion would. They started to see a lot of weird wear patterns and bad wear patterns at around the 5,000 round mark. So if I was going to recommend staying away from an AK, it'd be the RAS-47s and probably the Vishkas, because they're a cast trunnion as well.
Okay. Well, you kind of hit on a topic there that what America's not known for the AK. We're single action armies. We're AR-15s, bolt action Remington 700, Winchesters. Yeah, that's when you think American guns. That's what you think, right?
But what you hit on earlier, we can't get Russian stuff.
No, we cannot.
So how did we circumnavigate that?
So there are a couple companies out there right now that are actually making a pretty good stateside AK. Number one, Palmetto State Armory is doing some fantastic things.
Dude, we saw a couple of those come in. Urbanowski's got last week.
So,
dude,
but they're
rifles.
not on their first generation of those.
No, they're on Gen 5.
Yeah. So with the early ones, would you steer clear of, or do you think the PSAs, the Palmetto States, are they pretty much good to go 1 through 5?
So Palmetto on the AK side is kind of like SIG with pistols, specifically like the 320 and the 365. They kind of made rolling changes throughout the generations. Palmetto State Armory, on the other hand, has done a better job of denoting generations. So Gen 3 through Gen 5, solid, good to go. If you're just looking for an AK to go out, shoot, and enjoy.
And that's what we had come through this week. They were sub $600. They were technically blims, but they were super. They're super clean. And the two guys that got them, they already have their Wolverine suppressors approved for it, and they're out there just beating the snot out of it. And they're saying it's just fun to shoot.
They were so excited.
All right, so if I'm going to guess, Palmetto State's probably on your budget-friendly side of this.
So
where would you go, like U.S. build?
So on the Palmetto State side of things, it all depends, because they have some that are actually manufactured with an FN manufactured cold hammer forged barrel.
That's fancy.
Which, for an American-made AK, that's tip-top shape. That thing's going to have fantastic longevity. But they are on the pricier side of the Palmetto State things. The other one I would recommend at the moment would be Riley Defense. So I actually had an opportunity to talk with these guys at Riley Defense at SHOT Show this past year. And there were some concerns in the past about some of their trunnion construction as well. But talking to them, they're doing everything forged. So all the front trunnions are forged. All of the bolts are forged. All of the bolt carriers are forged. Now, on their barrels, their 7.62 by 39, they're going to be a 4150 nitride, which is, 90% of all your AR barrels are not 4150 nitride. They last 20, 30,000 rounds if you treat them right. If you're just, going out shooting corrosive ammo through them and not cleaning them ever, then yeah, they're going to not last very long.
That'd be me. It's an AK. You're supposed to beat it up.
I slowly raised my hand from the back of the class.
But they're the nice thing about 7.62 by 39 is the majority of it that you can get commercially is non-corrosive. So, just monitor on that front. But they're also making an AK-74, which does have a chrome line barrel in it. So that's going to stand up to that corrosive.
And for the listeners that do not know what the AK-74 is.
So, history time.
We told you guys this would be a long one.
He's so good. Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm learning stuff.
Me too.
So, like in the 1960s, they developed the AKM, right? And then they were running with that for a long, long time. And then America got involved in the Vietnam War, right? So North Korea has a whole boatload of AKs that China is just funneling down, right? Here you go, have at it. Do whatever you got to do to win. And then America started out, of course, with the M14, more commonly known, on the civilian market as the M1A. And about 67, 68, America adopted the M16, 5.56 NATO, which a lot smaller, a lot faster, a lot lighter. Troops could carry double the ammunition. Well, Russia took note of the 5.56 cartridge in the M16 during the Vietnam War and said, hey, maybe not such a bad idea.
To all of our Russian listeners, I apologize.
That was spot on. I don't care who you say.
Da.
So they began working on the 5.45 by 39. And how's the saying go? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. It's basically the Russian 5.56.
And that's the one dubbed the poison bullet?
Yes. So I guess you would call Russia's foray into Afghanistan kind of their Vietnam conflict. Got involved, never really got anything accomplished, and ended up leaving.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Didn't we do something like that?
Nah, never mind.
Afghanistan.
Don't look over there.
Yep.
So that's currently what Russia's running in all their standard issue rifles is the 5.45 by 39, which of all the Comblock calibers is my absolute favorite to shoot.
That makes sense.
It is so soft shooting, very flat shooting. So it's actually smaller in diameter than the 5.56. Closer, it's kind of in between a 204 rigger and a 5.56.
Makes sense.
But instead of running the really light, like 32 grain projectiles, a lot of them are 53 to 60. And that 60 grain has a very good ballistic coefficient. So you can actually, it shoots really flat and it's very accurate out to like 800 meters.
Which you don't really think of with an AK platform typically.
When you think AK, you never think accuracy, group size,
Accuracy by volume.
range.
You think 300 yards and in.
Just let that puppy sing. Hold the trigger, let her fly.
Common misconception. So a lot of the guys that have combat experience with an AK, the ones that are not accurate, well, number one, they're in the hands of a poorly trained conscript army.
True.
Number two, the majority of the AKs that the poorly trained conscript army have about 50,000 rounds through the barrel. So the chances of the rifling being, in good solid shape are slim to none.
Well, a lot of my friends that came back from Afghanistan and Iraq, that's one of the things that they would comment about it is just how they were surprised that they were being shot at just because how poorly these guns were maintained, put together, and just what condition they were in. But at the same time, they were impressed for the exact same reasons. Like this thing is being held on by a thread, and it is still full auto. It is still rocking and rolling and doing what it needs to do, even though it looks like you've been, underwater and drugged behind a truck.
It shoots a group size of, 47 MOA at 50 yards, but
hey,
it still goes.
That's their claim to fame, right? They'll keep going. They'll keep operating.
So
And
I don't.
I can bear them a lot when people come in the store and they're looking, at an AK for the first time. I'll often compare them to a Glock.
Yep.
It's those loose tolerances that allow you to not maintain it, which I don't do to an AK, because it's fun just to see what they'll take. It really is the amount of use you can give one.
I've got an AR in the same situation. That poor
insane. Yeah, the ARs don't fare that well when you treat them like that, but. They will keep going. We had a lady who lost her Glock, and it was in it turned out it fell off a horse. It was in a creek or a puddle of mud for 2 months. She brought it in, we cleaned it, and it fired.
Yep.
And I've heard these same stories about AKs, being found in the jungle. They've been, just sitting there in humid, moist conditions for months and months and months. GI picks them up and good to go.
So I don't
a full mag through it.
I don't know if this is a real quote or not, but I've heard it more than once, so I kind of think it is that when Stoner built the AR, he wanted it so precise and so tight that a grain of sand couldn't get in. But when Kalashnikov built the AK, he wanted it built to where it would still work in a pound of sand.
Yeah. So part of the trials for the original, adoption of the AK, they took the Type 1, buried it in sand, picked it up, shook it off a little bit, and then dumped a full mag through it.
Yeah, you can't do that with many firearms.
No, I mean, and that's
And you shouldn't do that with any firearm. No. But you can.
maintenance is key, folks.
But you can do it.
An ounce of maintenance equals a pound of pain.
That's right.
So
I think of that stupid video where the guy's shooting with his AR and his buddy has the AK and he's like, I'll hit it, and he throws the AK at it.
and here's what's great about the AK. It's back to its simplicity. There's a great video on YouTube. Guy knows what he's doing, but not much. But he took a shovel and I took it and heated it up and bent around, and it was crude looking, but he cut all the spots and drilled the holes. But he made an AK out of a shovel in his garage.
And the coolest part about that whole thing is the shovel handle was the stock.
It was.
That's cool. I dig that.
I mean, I think that's what makes the AK. I'm not a huge AK guy. I appreciate them, but I don't geek out over them. But one of the things that I can appreciate about you is
That's what I appreciate about you.
is that if you're going to build a weapon for conflict in destitute and uneducated corners of the globe, if you can fold it just right, guys, you can make a gun out of this.
Yeah. It's a gun made out of a taco.
It is.
It's and it's just brilliant, the whole pound of sand thing. I mean, when you think about it, prolonged conflicts, like we're talking decades in horrible conditions, where these guys aren't necessarily getting resupplies with anything but maybe a pocket full of loose shells and stuff like that. Like there's no oops parts kits or anything for these, and they can keep them running, and they keep running.
And you have to, because there's a couple Instagram pages I follow just because they're all about armed conflicts around the globe, and one of the best things come out of social media is it's firsthand accounts. It's one of them. The day I guess Russia invaded the Ukraine, they started fighting back. It was firsthand footage. I mean, it was raw footage.
Yeah.
And but what was neat about it and the stuff they've shown over the years through conflicts in Africa and other places around the globe, if you come up with just like a handful of parts, we can make something happen. And, when a populace got to defend itself, you can get creative, and it doesn't take that much creativity to make the AK.
So speaking of creativity in times of need, I saw a video of a guy whose recoil spring had broken, and he had taken just like 50 rubber bands and wrapped them around the front sight post and the charging handle, and that was his recoil spring.
Sucker worked.
It worked.
I dig it.
Well, let's talk about getting creative. So we've talked about the old regular factory run-of-the-mill, even the fancy run-of-the-mill, right? If you got an Ishmash or something like that.
So before we get into like super cool quote unquote alpha AKs, there is another variant out there, and it's going to be the 100 series. So the 100 series was developed after the fall of communism, specifically for
I like the wood on that one.
export.
That's what she said. Sorry. So I'm such a prick because you just pulled that out, and I was like, it looks exactly like the other one.
There's some differences. It's a 90-degree gas block.
Yes.
It's a 103 brake on it.
Yeah.
Which is also on the 74s.
Yep. So like Jake was saying, you got the 74 brake, the 90-degree gas block.
So what is the 74 brake? What is its intent? Is it just strictly a muzzle brake, or
It is strictly a muzzle brake. There is no flash reduction to it. It
still shoots a basketball flame out of the end?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the coolest things about
They took the end off a tank and we just make this smaller. It goes on end of rifle.
It looks like one.
So one of the coolest things about the 100 series is that's when they started getting into different calibers. The 101s are going to be 5.56s. Your 102s are going to be 5.45s, and then your 103s are going to be 7.62s, and then you have the short-barreled variants, which are 12.5-inch barrels. Your 104s are your 7.62s. Your 105s are your 5.45s, and your 106s are 5.56s.
There you go.
Cool. I got it.
Got it. It'll be a test later, Jason. we got to make a 7-year better.
Pop quiz.
So I got a question.
Sure.
Well, this is a good one, and a lot of our listeners out there are going to relate to it because I will. So we talked about the simplicity of these, right? I love when I get bored, and I've done it multiple times. I love taking apart and building new or grabbing parts that I have around the house or in the back of the shop. I like building ARs. Easy to do. I can do it from the ground up. Why don't we have tons of AK part kits or people coming in building their own AK all the time, as we do with ARs?
So you can assemble an AR in your garage, right? Putting an AK together it's a task. It takes somebody who really knows what they're doing, who's done it, a couple of times. Good example, Jim Fuller. He got his start building AKs back when parts kits were $25, $50. And he just sat in his garage and started putting them together for funsies, and then turned it into a multi-million-dollar business.
And it's an equipment issue too. You don't with an AR. If you have a set of pin punches, you put it together. And most of the time now, we've got away from roll pins, and they're little threaded screws that hold like the bolt catch and stuff. This one takes it takes equipment. You need presses and jigs and riveters and
and even more so if you decide to do a side folding stock like this one.
So this gun was made to be, which is what I'm getting out of what you're telling. It's more made to be mass produced in a factory assembly line, cheaply.
Yes.
Than an AR, which we can all just slap together in a living room. Yeah. More of a weapon of war. A true. I mean, that's its intent. That's what it was kind of designed for.
That's a derogative term, sir.
Oh my God. What's
the other one? Pejorative?
You can.
There it is.
You can make it look like an AR, and then it's no normal gun for pig hunting. Again, it is. It's that same thought process, right? That's the bad guy's gun. That's just what I grew up with. Thinking that's what the enemy's going to come at you with.
Well, I mean, if it's
but it's a mindset you got to get over.
Stereotypical.
It is.
If it's standard Russian infantry,
gun racist.
then yeah, probably they're going to have some clapped out 74. But if you're talking about like Spetsnaz or one of the elite teams, then you're probably going to have something a little bit more like this.
So this is where the AK gets fun. Is now there is
aftermarket support.
Exactly, and some of it is very expensive.
For those of
some
you
of it's very collectible.
who
some
can't
of it's
see
run the mill.
what Dustin just whipped out.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Would you give them a detailed description?
So
The most non-AK.
So this is, it's a little bit of lipstick on a pig, but this is my Romanian Wasser 3. So it's a 5.56, yet another different variant, manufactured in a different place. But just for everybody watching on the YouTubes, we are clear. But this has Zenitco Sport 4 handguard and a B33 dust cover on it.
So tell me what makes that special.
So a couple things that make
How do you spell Zenitco?
Zenitco.
Co.
Oh, exactly the way it sounds. See, I thought it was going to be in like, is it Cyrillic?
They have it spelled out in Cyrillic on here, but I do not have the Cyrillic alphabet memorized.
I thought it was going to be like Xena and start with an X.
Oh, she did not age well. Saw a picture of her the other day.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah.
But so the Sport 4 and the Sport 1s, basically any of the Zenitco furniture from Russia, which is extremely difficult to acquire, which is why I'm so very happy to have this one. It was made to make the AK more the force multipliers, right? Your free float handguns.
It's designed to make the AK American. Admit it.
There's nothing American about this except for the Magpul furniture on the backside.
And the modularity and the handguard.
But this is Russia's way of bringing an AK into the 21st century. So this right here will retain
And the
zero.
caliber. Yeah.
If it'll retain zero if you mount a D-ball or laser aiming module of any kind of,
I didn't know
here.
Russia adopted the Picatinny rail. I guess that's
So
Very American.
here they did.
The
Yeah.
1913.
The 1913 Picatinny route. But here, this is kind of their own
we love
version
you
of
so much.
M-Lock. So this is what they call basis rail. And it operates on the same principle. They have a little T-nut on the backside. And it locks in.
Will it work with Magpul furniture?
So you do have Picatinny here on the top, but this is all proprietary. Thankfully, there is a stateside company called Titan Tactical that's making basis compatible accessories. So if you do find yourself in possession of some difficult to acquire Zenitco furniture and you want to put a foregrip or a flashlight or whatever on it, Titan Tactical is the way to go. It's already cleared. It doesn't have to clear
Not
customs.
getting into what you paid for that part. What? Because his wife may or may not listen.
Yeah, I was gonna say
What-
that.
I seriously
So-
doubt she's listening.
I do too.
Yeah. He's got way better taste than that.
So
Why she married me, I don't know.
if I was shopping, if I got an AK and I want to make it, I want to go full Spetsnaz with it. What would I expect if I found original Zenitco furniture, the real stuff? Like, what's ballpark price on stuff?
So, for a Sport 4 with a B33 or a Sport 1, you're generally looking somewhere between $1,000 to $1,500
For the handguard?
for the handguard and the dust cover.
Holy crap.
But that's going to be stateside, right?
Yeah.
It's people know what they have. It's cleared customs. You don't have to order it from a
I know what I
shady
have,
dude.
no low ball.
Exactly. The used gun market is hot. Don't low ball beam row. I know what I got.
So you're telling me if I'm overseas, start loading down a carry-on full of handguards, huh?
Yeah, if you find yourself in the comblock area of the world and find a reliable source of Zenitco furniture and a way to get them stateside, you can make a lot of money.
Do different colors of it bring different money?
Yes. So this particular color here is what they call golden khaki. It's a little bit more on the desirable side. So it brings a little bit more than if it was just a straight black set. But the most desirable one and the rarest one of them is the jungle green set.
Just didn't make a lot of it.
No, those are going for, like, if you got the same setup here, you're looking about $2,000.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. And let's not even talk about the buttstocks.
How much would a Zenitco buttstock be?
So the last I looked on Gunbroker, there was a guy selling a PT1, which is the side folding, adjustable, like for length of pull and
The
cheek
cool,
piece.
the cool one.
The super cool one, yeah, $800 for a stock.
And that's just because we can't get them here. The whole supply demand thing.
Yep.
Sounds like we need to take a field trip.
Yeah, no joke.
Let's go to Croatia.
They're bringing stuff back. Are there, so let's say I don't have $2,600 to spend on a 4-in and a stock. Are there other options for if you've got one and you want to, and we're in the kind of the same boat and you're doing the same thing with us. We're pig hunting with them. We're shooting them. We're having fun with them.
Which the caliber, we haven't talked that much about the caliber, but not this one, but the 7.62 by 39,
One of the best 4 pigs.
Oh,
Awesome.
absolutely.
awesome for hogs. A lot heavier than your 5.56, and just a lot more devastating. Seems to drop them really good.
So-
and it still is a little bit, but it was there for a long time. Super cheap because of the surplus ammo.
Used to be, yeah. But, a lot of folks run around shooting pigs with 300 blackout. Well, your 7.62 by 39, you're generally 10 to 15 grains heavier on bullet weight and 200 to 300 feet per second faster in velocity. So
And you can get it in subs if that's your jam. If you want to make it crazy quiet,
It exists.
they do. Atomic makes them. Hornady makes them.
I believe Fort Scott.
Maybe.
I think so.
But yeah.
That's awesome.
So
So speaking of subsonic 7.62 by 39,
Speaking of,
or if you want to outfit your AK a little more budget friendly.
so once again, we're clear. But so this is the Midwest Industries AK Alpha Series furniture. So
It's Zeneco at home.
It's Zeneco at home. And it's a fraction of the cost.
And it looks really good.
It really fits.
It does.
It fits the line and the style of it really nice.
So this would be closer to what a Sport 1 would be in terms of length. The Sport 4 would come out a little bit further, like you saw on that one. But one of the nice things about the Midwest Industries furniture is instead of the proprietary basis rail that Zeneco uses, this is all M-LOK. So getting accessories for it is as simple as coming to see us.
There you go. And then this one, more specifically than the last one, has the old whisper pickle on it.
It does.
And so we've had this conversation back and forth on it. So Dead Air makes the Wolverine, and it's shaped that way because the back pressure, the blast profile as the round comes out, and the way the piston operates has to have that bell housing there, that little bulge on the back end of the suppressor, to help increase pressure, to help more reliably operate the AK traditionally.
Booster.
Yeah. Do you, I mean, I know you don't have a Wolverine because we've had this conversation. Have you run across issues suppressing your AK with more of a traditional design?
So this one, no. So this one I got specifically because it was built with a JMac Customs barrel. And the JMac Customs barrel is guaranteed to be concentric.
Oh, I got you.
Which concentricity of threads is the main reason why a lot of people do not suppress an AK. Because if the threads aren't concentric to the bore, you put a suppressor on there.
All of a sudden you got a hit.
All of a sudden you got a baffle strike.
Yeah.
Suppressor sits like so and your barrel sits like so. That's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. Which is why the Dead Air Wolverine is a neat design, because the baffles actually get bigger as you go further out along the can, which reduces the chances of a baffle strike.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder why everybody doesn't do that.
I imagine you lose a little bit of sound suppression.
Just a little bit.
Just a hair, but you know, everybody on the market wants to be able to say and everybody on the market says they have the quietest can.
And really, most of your stuff that you're buying is concentric to bore. It's just that these are produced. Well, what it is, these were designed or cut for a muzzle brake and not a suppressor, so they didn't have to be as worried about concentricity.
Exactly. I lost my train of thought.
I'm still thinking about Xena not aging well. That just jacked me up, dude.
That ruined my day.
That and there's a color called golden khaki. And it's like everybody who still walks in the store still, and they haven't done those commercials forever. Hi, I'm Jake. Oh, from State Farm. What are you wearing? Khakis. So if you peed in them, would they be golden khakis?
That took a dark turn.
It did. It did. This is going on. This is what happens when you talk about AKs. My mind has time to do this.
He let the intrusive thoughts win.
Yeah. So, where were we? We talked about your AKs here. Describe and review the store's AKs. We did that. Let's. So on the AK47 as a.
So why would you choose? Just to kind of wrap this all up, why would you choose an AK over an AR for someone that is coming in and looking for their first kind of all around home defense, maybe a little pig hunting, night hunting, and just range toy?
Ease of maintenance. You know, even though it is an AK, their maintenance schedule is not like it is with an AR. And two, there's a whole lot less moving parts and pieces and a lot less tight and tedious nooks and crannies to get into to clean.
That makes sense.
And I guess this is going to sound terrible, but if they can train a 5-year-old in Ethiopia to use it,
anybody can.
Anybody can.
And if you watch the video, if you go to YouTube, holy crap! Some of the disassembly videos with the kids.
Oh yeah, they're teaching how to
blindfolded.
Strip them, yes, break them down, put them back together as fast as they can, and we're teaching that words hurt.
Yeah.
You know what hurts? Bullets. Not words.
Oh, kind of like what Clean was it Hacksaw Ridge? This is the weapon of your enemy. This is the sound it makes.
Heartbreak Ridge.
Heartbreak Ridge.
And it does. We didn't even talk about that. It does have the most distinct sound. Like if my neighbors down the street are shooting an AK, like first round, I'm like, oh, that's an AK.
And the same with the rack noise.
Yep.
Just like a pump on a shotgun.
Somebody can do it on the. We can be up here. We can hear it downstairs, and
You know exactly what it is.
Clack, clack.
clack, and then that's that firing. It has that ting. You can hear miles away.
There you go. Well, Dustin, I appreciate you hitting the high points because I absolutely know we could have just hit go and left for the rest of the day and come back and still talking about it.
Yeah.
So
you kept it entertaining. Where there, for those of you who'd like to know more, you can come in here
a lot.
He's here a lot.
I kind of work here.
And if you don't live around here, there is a book. I think it's kind of hard to acquire. It's called The Grim Reaper. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it is, if you like the dirty details that Dustin's getting into.
It reads like an encyclopedia. It's cool if you're into specs and technicalities and the little stuff, but it reads like an encyclopedia.
It was written by engineers. And
the other two are
history.
Larry Vickers has 2 volumes out that are phenomenal. And his at least has color photos.
So I got a question. This before we close. That I thought. So we said the reasons why they're trickier to put together. You can't build them because they're kind of made more for an assembly line, which I get. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to make them cheap, push them out, toss them to, like you said, anywhere from a 5-year-old to 90-year-old. You never know who's going to have it. But is there anybody who has started a business that has all the tools required in the facility where you could go and put one together?
So there used to be companies out there that would offer build classes. Where
that would be super cool.
Yeah, you basically just show up with a parts kit and a receiver, and then they teach you how to put it together. Mm-hmm. The last person I saw doing an AK build class was Brandon Herrera, but that's been a year or so ago now. He's currently running for Congress, so I doubt he has time to do that right now.
A little busy. Dude, if you get a congressman giving AK build classes, I'd vote for him in a heartbeat.
Do you know how you get my vote?
Right there.
That's how.
Which, by the way, if you live in District 23 in Texas,
you have an opportunity.
Where is District 23?
It runs from Bernie, just north of San Antonio on I-10, out to El Paso.
Oh,
cool. Wow.
Yeah, it's a big district.
Cool.
I like him already.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Hey, you know, they're not there yet. But I do know one of our favorite manufacturers, Rebel's Edge, a Texas brand. Like, as the company expands, he wants to get into making AKs, and that would be so cool. I'd love to go to the factory.
Oh, absolutely.
There are several like U.S. like high end companies that are producing them. It's just you don't hear a lot of them.
Well, that's because they're made one at a time, by hand. It's almost like a Nighthawk pistol, right?
Yeah, very different than
Smith.
the original. Mm-hmm. Manufacturing,
but Rifle Dynamics, Fuller Phoenix.
There's Mod Outfitters.
Yeah, and then I think Meridian Ordnance. No, Meridian Defense.
Defense, yeah.
Their guys kind of making your more modern one gunsmith, one gun AKs.
Nice.
And the cost reflects that they're $2K, but.
Well, if your handguard was $7,000, or whatever the hell it was.
God.
But, I guess the best way to look at that is, there's guys out there paying $2K or more for a Daniel Defense AR.
That's right? True.
So it's all a build quality and quality of parts put into it kind of thing.
Yeah.
You and your stupid logic.
And you put it together. I use the same logic. They're like, hey, why would I buy this AR
because
or
AKs
anything.
are supposed to be cheap. I mean,
everything about them and durable.
Back in my day, they're like $150 at a gun show all day long in the early '90s.
Yeah,
it's not the '90s anymore though.
Yeah.
Shut up.
If after
the good days,
all the shenanigans overseas quiets down a little bit, we might see some true surplus. Yeah, that'd be wild.
You see this, I mean, whole different topic in AKs. You see some of the surplus stuff that's starting to hit the market? Battlefield pickups out of Ukraine. You get, nope, this is true. I know a guy, he came in, asked if we wanted any, but it is a Battlefield pickup heavy vest, like bulletproof vest, taking off a dead guy, still got the blood. Like hole through it and everything.
Wasn't a very good bullet.
I was going to say, I don't think I want that one.
I mean, the size of the bullet, he got hit by something big.
Oh, good God. Might have been a Dishka.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some weird stuff getting imported right now or brought back. I don't know how it's getting here, but it's weird.
Sneakily.
coming across the border.
Helmets with holes and stuff. It's
Yeah, no, not my jam. Yeah.
not the macabre.
There's people who can like that, but not me. Yeah.
You know how you get ghosts? That's how you get ghosts.
That's exactly how you get ghosts. I've got a ghost at my house, and it's driving me crazy, and I haven't been able to sleep good in a month because all the
I
crazy
told you,
shenanigans.
all we got to do is get that Ouija board out.
Oh, and I say I have a ghost. So my lights turn on all the time, and it's gotten to where it happened. Like one night, it happened like 5 times, and I'm sitting there, and it's just weird. Like I was laying in bed, and a lot of times I've gotten so used to it, like I won't even hear it because normally a light flips on the bedroom. I'm wide awake. I'm getting so used to it. I'll wake up and the light will be on. I just get up, flip it off, and it's not just in the bedroom. It happens all over the house.
See, what he doesn't realize is when he went out on a vacation last, I wired his house like the Big Brother house.
That's exactly
and
what
you
I'm thinking.
can pay me to like log in and just jack with the stuff around his house. Turn on a blender, flip the lights on and off.
I feel in
How much for 2 hours?
absolutely, absolutely. This is the type of thing my wife would do. But it happens, and I'll look over and she's dead asleep. And you can tell when she sleeps because she's got the little puddle of drool and everything, and yeah, and
Sounds like she sleeps like I do.
it's
No, you snore like crazy.
yeah. You need to get CPAP, dude. And Jake, once he's out, we talked about it before. He ain't waking up. But anyways,
the same way.
So goes, and then I'm like,
world.
well, I got to look into it. Why do I have a ghost? Well, neighbors tell me that my house was built on what
Indian
used to
burial
be the close. There was like 8 slave houses right there, and they had a small cemetery somewhere in that area. And I'm like, oh, awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Wish y'all would have told me that before. And they're like, well, you're closer to where the company store was than their house is actually. And I'm like,
Well,
What?
See all those little sticks in like a cross shape that you bulldozed
I know.
when you set the house up? That would have been the dead giveaway.
yeah. And
You didn't find it weird there's a bunch of flat rocks with words on them?
so I'm pretty sure my neighbors are jacking with me too. But at this point, I'm like, I don't believe in ghosts, but something happening. Anyways, a little off topic about the AKs, but
Well, guys, it's been a wonderful time. Dustin, thank you so much.
heck yeah, you are a wealth of knowledge. And if y'all,
And it's not just this; it's literally anything that in the store.
if it goes boom or optics too, my God.
If you want to get deep into the weeds over technicalities, over this versus that, that's the guy.
He gets
to ask
frustrated because I
questions.
do it all the time because somebody will keep asking me questions and I can tell especially if they try to flex on me and for whatever reason, some people like coming into a gun store and
just to see him.
yeah.
Just point at Dustin.
And then if they get to the point to where they're like, they're trying to teach me stuff and they want to be snotty about it, be like, hold on. Dustin.
I wonder if there's like a gun trivia night somewhere. We just bring our ringer with us.
Oh my God. That would be awesome.
It's like,
If not, we could start one.
yeah, that's definitely chambered in 545 by 39.
Ooh, speaking of different
good
different nights.
opportunity.
Yeah. So if you get the opportunity, if you're listening to this, we have started a weekly newsletter, and we are starting to. We're getting into it, hosting like a weekly event. So
Trying to have some fun.
We've already got like we do. On the second Sunday mornings we do car show, and we've got vendors that come a lot of times on a Saturday, and they'll show you what the
demo their
latest
stuff.
and greatest.
Yeah.
But we're talking about doing like, and we're doing one on the last Friday of this month, correct?
Yep. 31st.
We're going to do a cigar and whiskey night. We're going to start doing a macho movie night. So think your Predator, your Rambo First Blood, your
Die Hard.
Blazing
Just
Saddles.
a bunch of macho men
Macho.
watching movies together.
All I can think of when I hear that song is Homer Simpson with the nacho hat. Nacho man. But yeah, so if you want to get on the newsletter, you can shoot us an email with your email address. You can call up here.
You can do it on the website.
But that is the easiest way. If you just go to circlestarfirearms.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and it just says sign up for newsletter, and we'll let you know. And we did it for several reasons. One, we love our community. We like hanging out. But we were talking about every time we roll into town or go anywhere, doesn't matter if you're going with no intent to purchase anything, you're spending $100.
Oh yeah.
And if we could do something where everybody can come hang out that's free, and we do it after hours, I mean, we'll have the store maybe closed up, porta potties, I don't know. But we're going to get it to where basically we just utilize our parking lot and we get people to
Well, that was
sponsor it. Yeah.
That was the big reason of moving over to the spot and buying all the land that we did compared to a lot of other places we looked at is because we could do fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is going to be that coming to fruition. So it'll be awesome. So yeah, check it. And any, we try to do a products highlight, any sales, any rebates that are going on, we'll let you know about it. But go over to the website, scroll down and join the newsletter because we're going to be doing lots of fun stuff.
There you go. Well, come by, say hi, guys.
Awesome, guys. Thank y'all so much. Dustin, thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.
I, as always, I learn a lot when I talk to you, and I retain some of it. So, yeah.
I'm still glazed over.
As soon as we stop this, I'm going to Google Xena. That's all I can think of. and maybe I don't want to. Maybe it's one of those things like
leave it in the past.
Leave it in the past.
Hey, some things are better left unknown.
Oh, I know. Yeah, like. When you get to my age, like don't Facebook stalk like girls you dated in high school.
No.
Don't keep that memory in your head.
Right there.
Right, yeah.
She ended up looking like a mobile home in a skirt.
Oh my gosh.
Like Pamela Anderson in the 90s. Just leave her there.
Leave her there. Exactly. Exactly. Guys, if you get a chance to tell your friends about us, we would appreciate it.
Like, share, subscribe.
Subscribe, do all the things, and we'll be seeing you again soon.
Bye, everybody.
Appreciate you guys.
Have a beautiful time.
You've been listening to the Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors podcast with your hosts Jake Cawthon and Jason Westmoreland. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. New episodes drop every Monday and catch up in between episodes on the Circle Star Minute every Friday. For more information, visit CircleStarFirearms.com, or better yet, come see our great new store at 6320 Highway 90 in Anderson, Texas. Until next time, safe shooting, folks.